like our first string of episodes with all new stuff.
Full equipment right now. For now, we got the light, we got the mic, we got the camera set up properly.
It's good.
Next thing will be a nicer camera, maybe another microphone, so we don't have to
Yeah.
we won't have to sit right next to each other. We can double screen it.
You like to sit next to me.
I mean, here I am.
How was your day?
My day was very busy, and we didn't even do the one thing that we needed to do:
What was that?
get our rings.
What was our one job
The
today?
one job we had
Well,
today.
we got held up today. We were busy.
We did.
We were really busy.
Got up. We took Addie to school. Then we had a meeting with a fantastic client. Big step in the world for us and social media.
Yep.
We got our very first full-time paid client today for managing social media. And you guys will hear all about that when we get there. So I won't
Stoked
spoil
about
it.
that.
Won't spoil who it is, but you guys will hear a lot about it. Had a fantastic breakfast. Made a lovely business connection. And then what did we do? Oh, we shipped some stuff out. I had a board game that I was reviewing. You had a prize
A prize, some clothes
that was
from my
getting
friend
sent
Laura.
out. And picked up Addie from school. Came home, did a bunch of editing, sent a bunch of emails. I drove out to Wilmington, Delaware tonight.
Speaking of emails, I did not like one of the responses that you got today.
I know exactly which one you're talking
I
about.
did not like that response.
I sent a nice thing back.
I saw your back, and if they don't respond, that's ignorant. But
it's ignorant if they don't respond to what I
because
put.
what you said was super nice.
And I respect the response that they gave. If you want to know what the response was and who it is, you can message me personally, but I won't put them on blast here yet because
It was just a little snarky. I didn't like it.
I don't think it meant to come across that way. I think that the problem is that we read everything snarky because we're snarky people.
Yeah, I just read it and I was like, oh.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
It was a little jarring. It caught me off guard, but I said, you know what? No, so I'm going to respond before you do.
No, I wouldn't have responded because it wouldn't have been with kindness. So
yeah.
No, you handled it professionally. Which I was like, they better respond back.
Yeah. So
I
was out in Wilmington, Delaware tonight, and it's so funny. I think that we definitely sleep on Delaware in general.
We drive right over it every time we go.
So
somewhere.
often we drive right through Delaware, and
we're like, oh, and it's Maryland. Like we just literally dismissed Delaware.
I learned a lot about it. So the restaurant that I went to, and if you look at my page, I'll post about it. But it was the Chelsea Tavern. They've been there for 15 years.
And it was close to the theater, you said?
Well, yeah. So I'm going to say it was maybe 3-4 blocks from the theater, but where Chelsea Tavern is, right across the street is another theater. And then there's 2 more on either side of it.
That's so cool.
There's it's very, I think it's considered the historic district there. But so he was telling me there's the federal courthouse. They've got there's so many theaters. There's a children's theater I saw when I came in.
That's so awesome.
Very, very cool, arts kind of community there. But yeah, the dinner was fantastic. They've been there for 15 years. They were just launching their new menu. So they have some staples that are always on there, but they had some new stuff as well. And, I got to sample a mix of that. The dinner was fantastic. My server was great. He's already following me on Instagram.
Love it.
Yeah, he was a great server. So shout out to Devin, and then shout out to owner Joe if you guys listen to this at all. And then I did my first theater partnership tonight with the Delaware Theater Company. And this is actually one that I talked to them back in beginning of December.
A while ago.
It was sitting on my calendar for a long time, and I was super amped to get to do this. But this was part of my dad health project, and taking care of myself, not just physically this year, but taking care of myself mentally, going out and doing things on my own, and going to see a show by myself, going to have dinner by myself. And Delaware Theater Company and I partnered up, and it's their last 2 shows of their 45th season. Really cool little theater. I was completely blown away by this. It was so cool. There's a whole wall that shows every program cover in the entire history of the theater. So I think it's 16 across and 20. I don't know.
That's so cool.
A lot of shows there. But the show's Tuesdays with Maury. I bawled like a baby. But it was a really cool experience. I was really glad that DTC partnered with me for this project. And I actually recorded a thing that I haven't posted. I was going to post it on Instagram tonight, of sort of my personal feelings leaving the show, because it was one of those things, and I'm going to cry talking about it now.
Oh, here we go.
No, but it was one of those things where the message of the show really, I feel, came to me at the most appropriate time that it possibly could.
Well, what was the message?
I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but
Okay. We'll talk off air.
Well, it was really good. It was really good. If you know if you know the memoir, the book, if you've seen the movie, if you've seen the play, you know you're very familiar with it. If you know me and my life, you will definitely understand why I felt a certain connection to this. But I mean,
That's so fun.
the two actors were so incredible. Like I was drawn in from like moment one.
So cool.
And then side note, the main guy Mitch, so he plays piano for part of it, right? The guy obviously doesn't play piano. The recordings of the piano, and this is sort of like when a 6 degrees of separation. My old English teacher, Susan Goldstein, okay, so her son-in-law, so her daughter's husband, his brother was the piano recording for the show.
Love it.
I saw the name of the program and I was like, this name looks familiar, and I was like, oh, that's
so
why.
cool.
Yeah.
And random, but cool.
Yeah, no, really cool. So that was that was my day today. It was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just hung out with the kids.
I know you had kind of a,
chill day after, yeah, we got home. It was good.
Yeah.
Just vibing.
It's always good to vibe.
Yeah. But we did have a listener submission of a topic,
We did have a listener submission.
which I mean, I love getting. I mean, anyone who has input, we'll talk about anything. So it's like whatever. But this one specifically was about our wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just about our wedding, and specifically, just like people at our wedding, our bridal party.
Yeah, I feel like this was specifically about that.
It was about the bridal party. That was the main.
Because we can do a whole thing about the wedding because there's a lot of really cool stuff to talk about the wedding, but we specifically
we need a wedding redo.
we
based on
we
our
do
wedding
need to
party.
do a wedding redo, and I would say that I mean, out of how many people we talked to, 3 of them,
3 of them.
you know, on my side. Okay, so first of all, our officiant Tank,
The best.
great guy. He's always been a friend of ours. He's known you and I since we dated before. We knew that he was ordained. We knew that we weren't going to do a religious wedding. So
Done deal.
It was without a question, Tank was going to marry us. And it's funny because if you think that I ramble on, Tank rambles on forever. But he was so good at the wedding. Like
He
was amazing.
It was the perfect speech ceremony type situation.
He really has a
for
way
what
with
we did. It
words.
was so good.
So on my side, so Jason was my best man. You know, that
Which, if
was,
you don't know that, cutest thing ever.
if you don't know that Jason was my best man, yeah, that was really, really cool. And because he was 4, 5,
Yeah.
5.
Wait.
I met him when he was 3.
He was
So he was 4. He was only
a baby.
4. And I remember, so there's those pictures of when I took him to IHOP.
When you asked him to
Yeah.
be your best man, that's so cute. I
Oh,
love that.
He was so cute.
He was so cute.
Those little tucks. Oh my gosh.
So he was your best man.
He was
That was
my
a done deal.
He was my best man. Now, I'll say that the 2 people that I would still communicate with that were on my side.
Yeah.
That they are good. They will always be good acquaintances. Were John and Kevin.
Yep.
John and I sang in a quartet in Maryland. And Kevin was like my right hand barbershop guy.
Mhm.
Just a really cool dude that I met, and I wanted them to be a part of it as sort of like that was like my life that I went to live when we were apart.
Yeah.
And John was actually, I believe he literally was coming back from an anniversary cruise with his wife.
That was my first time meeting him.
Yeah.
And we share an anniversary with them.
We do.
So that was cool.
Yeah, so that's what it was. So
Yeah.
he was on a cruise with his wife. Remember, he literally like got off the ship, flew to Philly, and like whatever
They're
it
so
was.
cool. I love them too.
And like Kevin is just he's just a really down to earth guy.
Yeah.
Really kind of a level headed dude. And I was really happy to have both of them there. Just as that sort of like bro relationship type thing.
Yeah.
And then there was the other 2 who I no longer talk to.
Well, it's interesting. So something that if you don't know who our wedding party was, Nicholas does have 3 brothers.
I do. I have 3 brothers, and
And
you
it
won't hear
was
me talk about them.
And it was no doubt that 2 of them were definitely not it. We were not going to ask them.
Yeah.
That was kind of, he was like, I want to ask one of my brothers, and you were closest with your youngest brother.
I was, at the time, I was closest with my youngest brother.
So that was,
And I mean, for circumstances, we don't talk anymore. Again, if you want to know that story, feel free to ask and suggest that one.
that is
But
a whole ass 2-parter
that
podcast.
that is a 2-parter podcast for sure. The funny thing about my brother being there, so I wanted a family member, even though at the time I was already, I was still like on the outs with my family, whatever. I had gone back and forth as if I was going to invite any of them to begin with, all this kind of stuff. I said no. I said as a sign of good faith, I'm gonna have my brother be part of the bridal party, essentially as like the grown best man
Yeah.
was kind of his role. I specifically had asked him to give a speech, and when it came time for him to give his speech, he looked at me with a dead face. And we'll back up a little bit because he had messaged me, a few months out after I asked him to do that. And I remember him saying something like he wanted to like sit down to like get to know me or something. And I was like, dude, we're brothers. Like all you literally have to do
It's
is
like
get up
cheers.
there and go, hey, thanks from congrats from the family. We wish you the best of luck. That's it. That's all you would have had to do. And I specifically asked him because he has given speeches before, and I was like, I thought that he could handle it, but he embarrassed himself in the family, whatever.
I've
Which just
never
goes
been so embarrassed by someone.
well, which really goes to show you that like
Your family shouldn't have been there.
my family shouldn't have been there, and there really was no ever like blessing given from my family for that wedding.
There was not.
And I always think back and I was like, I should have had Sandy give the speech. I should have had Sandy. She should have been in my bridal
Well, don't you
party.
hate
She
that? You
should have
hate how
been.
it's like it's you want to go back
If
so
I was going
bad.
to do it again, Sandy would be my person, and
Yeah.
like that would be it. That
Yeah.
would be 100% it. Um, the other person in our bridal party who we no longer talk to is he was our bartender back when you and I when we were working at Duck
And
Deli.
we loved him. Like we would go to the casino with him. We went to the diner with him. Like he was our bartender, but like we became very good friends.
Yeah, like super
We were
super
there
good
every
friends.
night. We were there every night with him.
And that's like I felt that like everybody who was part of the bridal party on my side, like I picked them for a very specific reason. Don was the start of our relationship. Like that was the very core was with Don. It was always the three of us were always together.
Yeah,
And we had a falling out, I guess about a year ago now.
it's been a year.
So when I started actively doing social media, so I was
If you follow me and you know that you'll remember this
yeah,
story
you'll remember the
because this was
story.
fucked up.
So I was at the time I was going to therapy out in media on what was it like Tuesdays or Wednesdays? I can't remember. But it was around lunchtime. So I was like, I'm gonna go treat myself to lunch. I'm gonna go try a new restaurant every week and I'm gonna do a little review. And that's how I started doing social media was I was
I
doing
literally
sort of
forgot
like
you did that. Just like
story reviews,
story
but
reviews.
they were like legitimate reviews. It wasn't just me like showcasing the business. I was giving, my unbiased, like I'm paying for dinner, this is my opinion,
Like out of
yada
10
yada
review,
yada.
like type of thing.
Yeah, and I broke it down into different categories and things. Well, we went out to dinner to this local establishment, and you know what? Fuck it, because I'm going to call them out here as Break Time Diner.
Fuck it, nasty.
Everyone in town seems to
Raves.
love this place. We were told it's this professional chef. Everything is made from scratch. Yada yada yada. Now here's the deal. It's diner food. It's no better than your average diner
Worse
food.
than.
So it's not made from scratch. There's no way that this chef has that much experience.
No.
It's diner food, and that's fine. Be diner food. But we had a terrible dining experience going there. It was like dry burger, horrible shit. Just top to bottom was awful. And I did a review for it, and I like slammed them because I was like, this is terrible. Everybody recommended this place to us, and I can't. It was one of those things where like I don't understand why people in our town have these taste buds. But it also makes sense why good businesses don't succeed around here because people don't understand good food in this area.
At all.
And I'll call them out over and over again. But I guess Don had a hard on for this place because he got super, super offensive and was like, well, you know how bad like a review could do. It's like, dude, like I'm acting like a food critic here. Like, and,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't matter. Like, I hate hearing the excuse, well, they probably had a bad day. No, I'm sorry, but like that's not
Yeah, but you and I can differentiate certain things. You can tell certain things. Like, and it wasn't just, and again, it wasn't like it wasn't disgusting.
no, it
But
wasn't
again, it's the
disgusting,
matter
but
of like the review that was given by other people was it's fresh, it's homemade, it's from scratch, it's a chef. And it was like frozen food.
yeah, it wasn't any of that.
It was
It
none
just
of that.
wasn't
It was
any of
bad.
that, right? If I went there and they said, "Hey, go try the new diner," I would have been like, "Yeah, it's a diner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a diner." But like, I feel like I admit I was so like angry at the area that we live in, and I was so angry that people support a business so just so much for a business that is putting out mediocre product like that.
Uh-huh.
And I see good business owners, good restaurant owners, good chefs, great chefs struggling to get people in the door because people are like, I don't want to pay prices. I don't want, that I don't like that fancy food. I don't like whatever. And it really set me off. I said, you know what? I'm gonna tell people what I really think about this place.
He was
So
so mad.
he was so mad, like he like had a vested interest in this business, and started basically comparing like your dad's restaurant and like we should know better and all this kind of
You've been in
stuff.
the service industry. How could you? Like he went off
And
the damn deep
I was also
end.
kind of like, dude, like you've been in the service industry, like have more respect for yourself. This isn't
It was
a
bad.
good place. Like it's just not good. So, he basically said I was doing it for clout or whatever. I was like calling him out for clout. I'm like, no, I'm calling them out because they suck.
Yeah.
So we stopped talking, and of course I found out that apparently he had just been jumping off the deep end with a lot of people, and
I mean, he was best
you
friends with
know,
our officiant
he was
and
best
no
friends with
longer
our
talks to
officiant.
him either.
Yep, they don't talk anymore, and he's really kind of secluded himself in his little world. And you know what? You go right ahead.
Bye.
So, and then honestly, like I wish I kept better in touch with John and Kevin. Life happens.
John ended up moving to
John
Texas.
moved to Texas shortly after that. Well, I guess he wasn't in Texas at that point,
He was
I
not
think.
yet. No.
Was he not? No.
No, no, no. It
No, he
was like
wasn't. He
very
was still
shortly
in
after that.
Baltimore, but it was shortly after that he moved to Texas. Kevin's still in Baltimore, but I'm up here, and I don't get down that way ever. I mean, I've been back there once,
Once.
maybe, just to pick up stuff. So, that's my side.
Yeah.
How about you?
How about me? So my side was my sister.
Hmm.
She was my maid of honor, and that was just a given. Like, duh,
Yeah.
maid of honor. Um, I'm still happy with that choice. I would keep her there.
Okay.
And then my cousin was a bridesmaid. I would keep her there too. She was good.
That's fair.
There was no issues there. Then I had my friend Catherine, and Catherine is no longer my friend, but her and I were friends since she worked at my dad's restaurant when I was 11 years old, and she went to college right next door. And she was in college when I met her. So what is there, like an 8-year age difference, 8 or 9 years, like pretty far.
Yeah.
But her and I no longer talk. She very much tried to take control of a lot of things about the wedding, but like secretly,
Yeah.
like she's the type of person who's like bossy, but also manipulative, controlling-ish. I don't know. So she was in the wedding party. She, basically tried to pull the rug from out of my sister by being like, we should do this for her and we should do this for her. Trying to do stuff that I didn't want. Like, I didn't want a bachelorette party and she threw one anyway. Didn't invite my sister or my cousin. She like threw a separate one.
Yeah.
It was like,
But she also she hated the fact that I gave you independence. Like she always loved the fact that she kind of like could control you. And when she couldn't do that, she hated me. We never really got along.
they never got
Um,
along since we were together
it was since we were
before.
together before because she was nasty to me from day one.
She was.
She was, in fact, the two of the people that you will talk about were very nasty to me right from the get go and never gave me a fighting chance.
For real.
And I really, really tried with them. I really did, but whatever.
So
But
Catherine was one.
she wanted the Instagram wedding
She
for
did.
her,
Yeah.
right? Like she wanted all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you were like, we're low maintenance. Like we didn't want any of that. We
Like
didn't
even
want bachelor,
when we
bachelorette.
went shopping for the bridesmaid dresses, like I didn't care what they picked. I wanted them all to pick, and they picked the same dress. But then it ended up that my cousin was pregnant,
Yeah.
and then Catherine didn't fit in her dress anyway.
Mhm.
So those two matched, and my sister and Victoria ended up matching.
Right.
But I felt like she just wanted to do her own thing.
Yeah.
She was very much, I don't know, like it's weird because I feel like on the day, I felt like on that day, like she supported us, but I
No, no,
don't
no.
think.
I think she totally did. But so I think the best way to kind of describe the type of person that Catherine was about this wedding was completely like undiscussed, whatever it was. Like when the reception started, her and her family like all changed into pajamas,
Uh-huh.
and she had like a bride tribe shirt just for herself,
Yeah.
just for herself, and nobody else. Nobody else. She comes out wearing this bride tribe t-shirt. I was like, okay, all right, you do you, boo.
But her and I don't talk anymore. She, again, very controlling, older sister vibes, but to the point where I really started to see toxic behavior. So I cut her off, and it was hard because, I mean, I still think about like she meant so much to me
Yeah,
and was such a big sister to me.
sure.
But the way I had to cut it off was like literally just stop talking to her. I had to block her and just stop talking to her because I made the decision that I couldn't let someone try to control me anymore. Like I am an independent queen, other than like codependent on you.
Right.
Like in my everyday, like I'm like I am my own person and do my own shit.
Yeah.
But
But then she started feeding on the next person.
started feeding on the next person. So the other girl that was in our wedding party was my friend Victoria, and she was 19 18.
She was young. She was like
I met her
19 or
at the
20.
restaurant I worked at and instantly fell in love with her. I still miss her because I like her. She's
She was so nice. She loved me from
loved
the
you from day
get-go. I
one.
thought
She
she
has a
was
huge
awesome.
personality, bubbly, sweet.
I always looked at her as like that little sister, right? Like
Yeah.
she always kind of came to us for the
Advice.
advice,
Yeah.
and we would like, I mean, we're very real people. Like we're not gonna bullshit. She was kind of like guiding her way through like dumb relationships and stuff, and we were really trying to like
Help her.
help her and guide her and give her the right advice. And meanwhile, Catherine is like, do all the dumb things.
Yeah, it was basically a situation where the three of us were friends because I met that they met each other,
Yep.
and Catherine saw it as an opportunity. Like Lauren can't be controlled anymore because she has her husband, and now I have this other new young person to manipulate.
Yeah.
So she basically fell under the spell of her and I stopped talking because it was kind of like I don't know. I feel like what was the last thing she said to me? She basically like I mean
Oh, she was.
again
Didn't she they were like judging our parenting or something? They said,
I'm trying to remember. I remember before I decided that I was going to cut off Catherine, I had blocked her on social media from seeing some posts
mhm.
because like she always commented something snarky and it
She
was pissing
always,
you
yep,
off.
she always had something negative to say, but would get mad at me when I called her out for it.
Yeah, so it was just like a hostile situation. But I think Victoria had told her, "Oh my God, like, did you see Lauren's new haircut? Remember you cut my hair like during COVID?"
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And she
yeah,
said, "No, I didn't see it." And they were together and then realized that I had blocked her from seeing some of my posts because that would have been an instance where she would have said something snarky and I
yep,
was done with it.
yeah.
Um, but I think one of the last things she said was like, "You're gonna throw away your friendship with Catherine for this guy that broke up with you." Like she was very like, even though we were already married and
Yeah.
like everything, like there was nothing
Other than your sister and Becky, the other three people threw that one back at you. Was
every
that you
time.
and I had split up, and they're
They were
like,
like, "He's gonna break up with you." I'm
yeah,
like, "Oh, okay." And now that we're married, I really appreciate
yeah,
that. I'm like, what? They held more of a grudge than I ever did.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
it made no
100%,
sense.
100%. Thanks for cooking. We'll return after this commercial break. Hey everyone. If you have made it this far in the episode, you're here either because A, you love us, or B, you entered our fantastic giveaway. We recently reached 100 followers on our Instagram page, so thank you guys for following
Thank you
along.
so much for following.
So we were giving away this pair of Techniques headphones. They are wireless earbuds. They are fantastic.
He has a pair.
I
They're
use
awesome.
them all the time. They have a noise canceling feature, which is really, really cool, especially for earbuds. I didn't know that that was a thing, but these are super, super awesome. And we have picked a winner. So drum roll. Click, 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 click. Our winner is Devin, Chef Devin of Meadowlark Bakery and Cafe. Congratulations, Devin. We won't have to mail them out. We'll drop them off to you. So congratulations, Devin.
Congratulations.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for cooking,
Thanks for
Devin.
cooking.
Seriously, if you're in the local area of us around here in Bucks County, go check out Chef Devin at Meadowlark Bakery and Cafe.
The
This isn't
best.
this isn't like a shameless plug setup. He did actually win, but seriously,
But their
go-
food is banging.
go check him out. Go say hi. Try the baked goods. Try his amazing specials. We post about it all the time. So congratulations, Devin.
Thank you for entering and everyone who entered.
Thank you, everybody who entered. Keep your eyes out because we're going to have a ton more giveaways coming. So keep listening. We might stick one in a random episode somewhere. We might do something crazy. So just keep on listening. Keep on liking our stuff. We really appreciate it. Thanks for cooking. We now return to your regularly scheduled episode of Thanks for Cooking.
And then my other bridesman, who didn't end up in the wedding.
Yep, got booted.
He didn't even make it to the altar. He was my actual best friend in life. His name was Josh, and
It still is. He's not dead, though.
no, Josh and I have
He's
talked.
dead to us, but
Josh and I have talked. Like we have talked since, but not anything important. Like he'll be like, "Oh, how are your parents?"
yeah.
Or like, "Oh, I saw Jason did this," or whatever. If he sees something online, his sister follows us on social media. I thought that was nice. But no one hated you more than him.
Oh, absolutely.
Josh and I were best friends in middle school, high school, after, and
He was secretly in love with you, and it
No.
wasn't even a secret.
no, because I was in love with him for so long, so that doesn't even make sense.
Well, it does because he's an idiot. When I first came around, so it was like, I don't know, week 1, you and I went to
The
Duck
restaurant?
Deli. We went to the Duck Deli for dinner.
Yep.
Because you're like, you got to go try this. You got to do this. We sit down, and immediately, within 30 seconds, he is at the table like a little puppy dog and trying everything he can to pull you away and get in between us. And like,
so weird.
always, every single day that we worked together, he would give me a hard time. He would always, and he was another one who always had like some snarky comment. And the minute that I clap back,
It was like,
he
well,
would
fuck
get
him.
pissed off.
Yeah,
You know, it's the same reason. Like, I'm not allowed to like talk in chats. I'm not allowed to like communicate with people anymore because for whatever reason, it's okay for everybody to shit on Nick all the time. But the minute that Nick says something snarky
game
and
over.
funny, all of a sudden everybody loses their damn mind and I'm fucking enemy number one. And I'm so tired of it. So I keep myself out of it. I keep
Sure.
myself out of all that stuff anymore. So yeah, since day one, he really tried to drive a stake between us. And it's funny because we ended up breaking up. We got back together. We got engaged. We were going to get married. And one of the last things he said to you was, "Don't come crying back to me when he does it again."
Because now Jason's wrapped up in
Yeah,
it
because
too.
Jason's wrapped up in it
I'm
too.
like, excuse me.
I can't remember why
I could tell that he was absolutely not interested in being in the wedding.
he was very
He
like
he
not
ex-
supportive of
he
this.
accepted being in the wedding, and then very much was like, I don't know. He was just busy. Like he didn't seem interested, and I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think I even invited him to like the bridesmaids dress tryout. Like even though he wasn't going, but like
Yeah.
include him because I mean he knew my sister, he knew Becky, like we were all friends. So I just thought it'd be fun. Like he's just like a fun person. So I was like whatever. But yeah, I ended up being like, hey, do you even really want to be in the wedding? The wedding? Like if you don't want to be in it, like seriously, just please tell me. Like you don't have to. And that's when he flipped it on me and said, so you're picking Nick again and da 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 da. And I'm like, I
Like,
can't
what do you mean
win.
pick it? Like, and that was like the
I can't
funniest thing. Is
win.
like, what do you mean pick it? I'm marrying Nick. I picked you to be in my bridal party.
I think it's crazy. I mean, the only opinions that I really care about us, besides like us, is
Mhm.
my parents and like my family.
Yeah.
And they know that this is regular, like it's normal. I mean, that's obviously normal, but like, no, but like, I just feel like some people, like them, always viewed it as so toxic. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
are they seeing? Because like,
And it's funny
I'm not,
because like really like if again, you know, and we've talked about our relationship, we've talked about our past, is like it was the healthiest thing for us was to split up when we did.
yeah,
Because we wanted different things out of life. We were both young and immature, and we just, you know, said, "Hey, this isn't," you know, and we didn't really say, "Hey, this isn't," but like
yeah, but it
we
like,
screamed and yelled, we went our separate ways, and
yeah.
we were like, "Damn, like no, like I really like this person," and
These people acted like
even
we got
more
back
so
together
now.
after a couple weeks. Like there
Yeah.
was 5 years, a whole ass kid, and separate states between us. Like
Yeah.
we really thought about it. It wasn't just like,
Yeah, like we had both matured so much in that time. And again, yeah, you know, we talk about like if we could go back and do it again, you know,
yeah.
I think the whole thing would be different. You know, maybe when we get to like 10 years, we'll do like a really fun vow renewal or something. And
Well, it's the thing that sucks is like we don't talk to so many people. Our flower girl and ring bearer were Catherine's
with
two
Catherine's two
kids,
kids.
and it's just like your family was there, and we wish they weren't. So many different things we would change, and it's
By the way, if
so
anybody ever wants to see the best thing that I ever did, so there's photos of
our
Lauren and I,
first
our very
dance.
first dance, and in the background is my mom and my dad, just with the miserable sourpuss on their face, arms folded. So when we got the photos back, if you haven't seen that video, well, I'll maybe share it through here, but we never downloaded the photos from our wedding when they were available, and then the photographer stopped doing weddings, so the website went down, and then his computer was like compromised. So we reached out several times trying to get them, and like we never got a response. Then I went back and I was going back and forth with him for a while. So ultimately we finally got
Our wedding
all the
photos.
wedding
Thank
photos.
God.
Um, and we only had a couple that were on hand, and one of them was this photo from our first dance. And again, like I said, it's my parents in the background just looking completely miserable. So over the course of the last year doing the social media stuff, I learned how to use Photoshop and use
Like
it
they weren't
really
even
well.
there.
So I managed to cut them completely out of the picture. And it's beautiful. Like it's a seamless transition. Like you can't even tell that they were there. Um, it's wonderful. And so like we use that photo in place now. But yeah, I mean, I think that if we were to do it again, I would do it completely differently. And I want to know, like, I want to know if there are other people who have experienced this, right? And because I've talked to some people, and it seems like it's more of a, I'll say, modern phenomenon of people having those sort of fallouts, not just like, well, life just happened and we don't talk anymore. Like your parents, right? Like, I don't think that they have like, there was no like arguments between anyone in their wedding party. It was
No, they
just
just like grow
they
up, and it's
all
just
grew up
fun.
and grew
Yeah.
apart. And now I'm hearing more stories like ours. So like I want to know if there's anybody out there who experienced some similar things after their, and this was all within a year after our wedding.
It was.
It was all within a year after our wedding. Um, so you know, I want to know who else.
I'm sure there's more stories like this of people that have, Stop talking to people that were in their weddings.
Yeah,
But it is crazy. I mean, what I learned from this is I would have only chosen family. I would have just had my cousin and my sister.
I would have only chosen your family too.
Well, what's funny? Remember, he wanted my dad to be
I
in the wedding on his
to
side,
this day, two things that I wanted from this wedding that I didn't get, and I think that we both regret it. Was number one, I wanted your dad as my best man,
and he should have been.
and he absolutely should have been. And number two was I wanted to take your last name,
And we regret both.
and we regret both because now, I mean, and the only reason that we didn't double back on the name change
I
was
think you're still holding out.
I'm still holding out, but the problem was that we had like just by the time you started coming around to it, we had just changed Jason's name.
So
To
does he
mine.
need 3 last names in his lifetime?
And you know, he's kind of a dummy and it might confuse him. So
He doesn't remember his last name. That's so funny.
he doesn't.
I'm
He
not
would now.
surprised.
Like now he would
Well, now he wouldn't.
my Quail. That Waskaway Wabbit.
Claire is an easy one to spell. I feel like he's good with that.
Yeah, I don't know if I could give Adeline any more letters in her name. I mean, she's already Adeline Penelope. Doubling the letters in her last name might really
doubling?
It's not.
It's not. It's like 2 extra letters.
Oh, yeah, it really is only
It's
two
only
extra
2
letters.
extra letters.
But still,
Yeah, Claire's just easy.
she doesn't need any more. She's already got like 27. She basically got the whole alphabet in
Claire
there.
is our family. This is our family.
It is.
So it's our last name.
It's still weird to hear that too.
Why?
Like if your mom like refers to us as like the Claire
Claires.
family, the Claires.
I mean, I still think it's
and
weird when you say this is my wife. I'm like, I what?
it is, yeah, sometimes. I think for me it's weird because when I hear the Claires, like I think of like my family, my immediate,
Yeah,
you know, my parents, my brothers.
yeah.
I still like that image pops into my head.
Nope, it's us. Here we
and,
are.
yep, here it is.
You're so lucky.
So yeah, so that's
That's everything about our bridal party. If you have any questions,
if you have any questions,
we'll answer them.
let us know. If you've experienced anything, we would love to hear the stories. And if you have any suggestions for any other things you want us to talk about, drop us a comment, drop us a message, let us know. If you're planning a wedding in the next year or two and you want some advice, ask somebody else. I think that we are the most unconventional
I loved our wedding.
couple. No, our wedding was fantastic, and actually, I want to put that on the docket for an episode is to talk about the wedding as a whole because in my like the day of, perfect. Everything about our wedding was perfect, top
It's
to
so
bottom.
funny
But I don't
because
want to spoil it for everyone if you guys weren't there because I think most of you that are listening
we're there.
weren't. Well,
Uh,
it's like half and half now. We got 20 listeners.
listen,
5 of them are your mom.
I think it's crazy that everything we just talked about was so fucking toxic, but our wedding was perfect.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one like caused shit. There was like nothing wrong at the wedding
I wouldn't change anything about the wedding day
at all.
itself. I wouldn't change anything about that.
Even your bride.
Thanks for cooking.
Thanks for cooking.
Until next time. Thanks for cooking.